Right. Madam Director, I believe for the record, we have a full quorum. And let me mute my, there we are. We have a full quorum, and so if you would like, you may begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This meeting has been properly noticed as a special meeting of the State Loan and Investment Board. First on the agenda today is under tab B, and that's reports. This is an informational only matter. So if there are any questions on that report, we can answer those.
Any questions? Any questions? Nope. Okay.
All right. Next, that takes us to tab E. Matter E1 is the Clean Water State Revolving Fund matter. This is a request from the Jamestown Rio Vista Water and Sewer District to change the recommended principal forgiveness for their loan. As discussed in all of your individual briefings, projects on the intended use plan that did not come forward by the October 6th date freed up additional principal forgiveness for other projects that were not eligible for their full amount. This entity is now eligible for up to the 25% principal forgiveness amount, which is our recommendation for the board today.
Thank you, Madam Director. Are there any questions? Is there anyone here from Jamestown, Rio Vista? If there is not, that's not, and I don't know. If there is not, that's okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Treasurer.
Mr. Chairman, I would recommend the director's recommendation that the board approve increasing the principal forgiveness award originally awarded on October 2nd, 2025 at the amount of $1,664,357 to the amount of $2,712,500.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Is there support for his motion?
Second.
It's been seconded by the auditor. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next, we move to tab F, Drinking Water State Revolving Fund matters. The first matter under this tab, F1, is from the City of Gillette. This is for their Madison Water Transmission main pipeline repair. This is an increase in funding request. This is not a change in principal forgiveness. The loan was originally $10 million. This is a request for an additional $2.5 million for this project, and that would be the recommendation of our office.
Thank you, Madam Director. Are there any questions for the staff? If there are none, is anyone wanting to address the board from City of Gillette? Thank you for being here.
Chairman.
And I think if you press the, yep, and just tell us your name too.
Yes, sorry. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Joe Shane, city engineer with the City of Gillette. And we're just here to thank you for this opportunity, staff as well. We really appreciate the opportunity to get this project done. This has been years in the making, I'm going to say. So we are to the point where we're ready to get this thing advertised. We need this final amount for the increase in the loan in order to get the project advertised this winter. And then we're looking to get it constructed over the next year, year and a half. I say weather depending, as of course, material delivery as well. So I'll take any other questions if anyone has any.
Are there any questions? Doesn't sound like it. I'm glad to hear it's coming along. That's wonderful. It has been a long time.
It has. So we're getting closer on every one.
Yeah, and Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What are we at on total cost on this?
On this specific project, we are going to be at I say full 12.5 million is what we're estimating right now. Without bidding the job, I can't totally say for sure what that final dollar amount, but we are looking, and I'm going to say at about $1 million to $1.5 million for design and CM for that construction administration portion. And then from there, the rest of it, we're looking at about a $9 million to $10 million total cost for construction with an alternate, depending on how much pipeline we have to replace. Because we're looking at about a total of about 4 to 5 miles of certain 30-inch water line replacement. So we got about a mile of replacement. And then we have about 4 miles of the cement mortar lining inside needs to be replaced. So we're talking about 5 miles of a 30-inch water line. So we're kind of totaling, when we come to it, 12.5 million is our engineer's estimate for construction, design, and CM. So.
Very good. Thanks. Follow up at all?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
thanks very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Members of the board, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Madam Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, would move to approve the loan increase by $2,500,000 under the drinking water revolving fund.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. It's been seconded by the secretary. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? That motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next for your consideration is tab F2. This is also drinking water. This is a changed interest rate and increased recommended principal forgiveness. This is for Cottonwood Acres Improvement and Service District. And the change would be in their principal forgiveness from approximately 44.97% up to the allowable 50%, and a change in the interest rate from 0.75% to 1.5%, which would be the recommendation of our office.
Thank you. Any questions for the staff? Is there anyone here from the Cottonwood drinking? No, what is it? The
Improvement and Service District.
Improvement Service District. Thank you. Anyone here? Anyone online? Okay. Madam Director, it's my understanding that is kind of near the town of Fort Laramie. Is that correct?
Sweetwater County, sir.
It is Sweetwater.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move the director's recommendation.
Been moved by the secretary. Is there support for the secretary's motion? It's been seconded by the treasurer. I'll give that to him. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next, we are at tab I. The first matter under tab I is informational only, but it is a list of the meetings for 2026 of the State Board of Land Commissioners and the State Loan and Investment Board. Then tab 2 brings us into the beginning of our considerations for the Transportation Enterprise Account. This first board matter is an opportunity for the board to consider waiving a deadline for the Fremont County Association of Governments. This is a application that our office was contacted 4 days after the deadline, and the request made to be considered, given that this is a once a year opportunity for entities to participate in the TEA program. Our office does not recommend waiving the deadline as per our rules, but certainly put it to the board for their consideration on how they'd like to handle it.
So members of the board, you've heard the director's comments on this. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Madam Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, I might request that if someone is here from Fremont County to speak to this, to just kind of share background, if that would be permissible.
Very good. Please come on up if there's hearing no objection. There'll be a little person looking thing that looks like he's sneezing, and if you, yep, you're there.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members of the board. I do have a handout if I might
And
approach.
can you identify yourself for the record?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm Tim Nichols. I'm with the Fremont County Association of Governments, and I'm the director of the Wind River Transportation Authority.
Okay, thank you. Please feel free. Nichols, please proceed.
Thank you, honorable Chair, members of the board. I pondered pretty intently on my drive up here. last night of what I might say to justify what should otherwise not have happened is a missed deadline. And during that pondering, I recalled a conversation that the late, great Mayor Monty Richardson imparted on me. And that if I ever did have the opportunity to speak with the Slib board, one, don't be lazy, show up. And I did. And the other was, at the end of the day, they just want to know who you are. And so I've given you a handout, which kind of explains the situation. And short of falling to my knees and pleading, kind of gives the justification of why I would hope you would consider. But in recalling that conversation with Mayor Richardson, I would refrain from reading verbatim what is in front of you, as you are all very intelligent individuals and can read for yourselves. Instead, I would like to share with you that I'm just short. Actually, today, I am no longer short of a 2-year tenure at the Wind River Transportation Authority, having moved over from managing partly managing the University of Wyoming's transit system, where I worked for over a decade. And the only reason I left the university, though I thought I never would, was to return home to Fremont County. And in doing so, apply a rural public transportation model to one of the most vast counties, I would say, in the state, with 6 municipalities and the Wind River Reservation. In 2 years, we've made modest change. We've implemented additional routes, additional structures. And within the last few months, we've engaged in an integration with the Riverton Senior Center, which would have otherwise likely had to reduce their offerings without the necessary local match. My motivation for that was simply, we cannot allow reduction of public transportation in an already rural setting. We did that to ensure that rural public transportation can move forward. Now, why am I telling you this? Is because where I stand is not a very well-versed professional in the field of administration, but a very seasoned public transportation advocate. And so my only justification to you is that we are doing our best. With me and one other individual at the helm, I have 2 years of grant writing and grant management experience under my belt, and we are working every day to improve at the Fremont County Association of Governments and Wind River Transportation Authority. So I would love to take any questions I might have an opportunity to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols, and thank you very much for coming here. It is important. Monty was absolutely right. And I know it's been a devastating loss for the county and obviously for Lander. Are there questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Auditor.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. With the loss of the economic development tax, how will that impact WRTA going forward? And what's the plan to either find alternative revenue, or is the plan to decrease operations, or a little bit of both?
Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. That is an excellent question, one that's evolving daily at the current moment. A benefit of being located or governed by the Fremont County Association of Governments is I do get a firsthand exposure to, or a first seat exposure to, the collaborative effort that is ongoing currently. Fremont County Association of Governments did create a subcommittee that is the Joint Committee for Funding Key Services. And in that, they are identifying opportunities for future funding for not only ground transportation, but future EMS offerings, as well as air service for Fremont County. Now, I won't speak to that because I don't represent that committee. However, I can say that the 10% of which Wind River Transportation Authority was the beneficiary of, the loss has been destabilizing. We were able to set aside some funds to last until the next election, which would be held in 2026. But until then, the future is uncertain. We do have a depleting fund that would meet local match. We're doing everything we can to uncover or to turn over every rock. And with given this opportunity, I would like to give a particular thank you to Governor Gordon for granting the Infrastructure Investment and Job Act's local fund through the governor's office to meet the 5311 local match or portion thereof. That has helped extend the runway to that 2026 deadline, that we might be hopeful in passing an additional ballot measure to reintroduce some form of tax revenue for not just public transportation, but also EMS service and air service there in Fremont County.
Quick follow-up. I know that you provide quite a bit of service out on the reservation. Can you just talk about how you interact with the tribes and what sort of how their governance impacts yours, or do they provide support at all? That sort of thing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board. That has been an interesting learning curve for my position. I have reached out. The chairman of the Fremont County Association of Governments currently, Mayor Tim Hancock of Riverton, he and I actually just attended a Wind River Intertribal Council meeting yesterday, where we were able to invite the tribes to join in the collaborative efforts of Fremont County Association of Governments. In that, take part in those discussions of collaborating public transportation service. To answer your question more directly, about 60% of our fixed route service does serve the Wind River Reservation. That is without tribal subsidy. So it is an ongoing conversation. Kind of how we approach that is beyond my immediate scope of capability. However, I am very fortunate to have such an educated and prestigious board overseeing these efforts, that they can have a direct hand in that collaborative between the tribal governments and the other municipal governments in the county.
Thank you.
Just a couple of questions along probably similar lines, but I'm wondering about transport to Crowheart, transport to Du Bois particularly. And I note that, at least in your letter, that you're now assuming senior transport for Riverton as well. And it seems to me, I forget the name of the wonderful place that was up in Du Bois, but that's now closed. So I guess I'm trying to figure out, are you providing services there as well?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that was one of my first attempts when I originally took the director role at Wind River Transportation Authority 2 years ago. There was currently no service being extended to Du Bois, Crowheart, or Shoshone for that matter. I am pretty proud to say we did accomplish a seasonal fixed route extension to Du Bois that kind of centered around the Friday night Du Bois rodeo, that function there. It was for Du Bois, it was heavily utilized this year with over 100% increase in ridership from the year prior. That's just step one. When we're introducing public transportation to such a rural area as Du Bois, we have to be very strategic in how we apply it, because the costs increase dramatically when there's a 76-mile highway leading up. We were also able to include Crowheart in that initiative as well. This last year, we also extended the Safe Ride program, which we've enveloped under, and maybe copied a little bit from my days at the University of Wyoming, just a little bit. But it has had a profound impact on the community. We were able to also extend that to Du Bois on those Friday nights. Now, I believe you're speaking of the Warm Valley Lodge that closed down. Yeah.
Warm Valley Lodge. There you are.
To my knowledge, the senior center there was actually the subrecipient. I was checking to my white-eyed partners in the back, and they are still continuing to offer public transportation services, but we are heavily engaged in a collaborative, much like what started with the Riverton Senior Center, to provide additional services that might lighten the burden of that provision of public transportation in the form of centralized maintenance services, centralized dispatch, anything we can do to help alleviate that burden and ensure that compliance moving forward is easier for those providers. Not sure why we took on such a heavy leadership role, but we're proud to do it. And also it's for the benefit of the county. Currently, or I believe when I first started in Fremont County, there were 5 providers total when River Transportation Authority was but 1. Riverton Senior Center will drop off. That will leave the Lander Senior Center, High Country Senior Center. There it is in Du Bois. And there's one additional one that I can't recall off the top of my head. My intention is not necessarily to integrate every single one of them, but to offer those agencies stability into the future. Very difficult to do when your own future is a bit uncertain, but we're very hopeful we can reach stability in the near future. So I hope that answers your question directly.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah.
Further questions? If there are none,
Mr. Chairman,
Madam Superintendent.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the board waive the application deadline for Fremont County Association of Governments request.
Second.
It's been moved. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Secretary.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think this is something we should do, waive the deadline on this. I know this is a precedent some might be concerned about, but I think the request is very warranted, and I think there's a lot of sincerity in the comments here today, and we just keep doing the work for the people of Wyoming. So I think we should do this.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Further discussion? I do have a question, Ms. Orr. Did this push the office at all? I mean, I think obviously the deadline wasn't met, and you were able to give it the full service that it required. We're talking about how many days missing?
Mr. Chairman, they sent in an email 4 days. We were able to get their application and vet it through all of the requirements. So it did go through the AG review, our full review, and to YDOT, our partnering agency, for review as well. So there's no concerns there.
Thank you very much. Okay, further discussion? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Nays? I think you're up for consideration. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Mr. Secretary.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. The one thing I would ask as we move into this is, and I mentioned this in our briefing, is we try to integrate the structure that you used on the others for this one, because I know because it missed the deadline, it wasn't included, but I want to make sure everybody's on an even playing field now that it's been waived. And just want to make sure. I mean, I don't know if they have a recommendation of how they would have funded it if it had met the deadline. So that's one thing, because I know there's 3 vehicles involved, but I guess it's partial reimbursements, and they sort of had a 1 vehicle limit. So I just want to make sure we get that right in terms of their process. So thank you.
Madam Director, you want to address that?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chairman. I think what I'll do, let's introduce the board matter and we'll talk about the process on how we got in there. And then when I give the high level overview, I can also give some insight on that application as well, if that's helpful. Would that be acceptable?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you, Mr. Chairman. Let's start on board matter I3. This moves into the request of all eligible applications for the benefit of the board and those at the meeting. In the fund for allocation today, the total amount available is $841,218. The way that the office approached evaluating these applications this year is through a rubric created off of the rules and statute for this program. So you'll see the list in the board matter, and the things that were most importantly considered are the extent of funding committed, commitment of local resources, appropriateness of the vehicle requested, percent of population directly served, new service to unserved areas, the age, mileage, condition, and history of major repairs for units to be replaced, ridership trends over the past 3 years, and YDOT rankings. So we worked in conjunction with partnering agencies on all of these applications. You'll see immediately following your board matter is a table that outlines those recommendations. As we discussed in your briefings, the first gate cut, and to the point of the Fremont County Governments Association, the first gate cut for our office were any duplicative vehicles. So you'll see on the no funding list, any entities that ask for more than one vehicle, we asked them to prioritize which one that was most important to their community in an attempt to make sure that we were able to give some funding to every community. So for the Fremont County governments, as the secretary mentioned, they asked for 3 vehicles. And so an immediate offer that we can give as far as a recommendation on this is to fully fund one of those. In review by our partnering agencies and in accordance with our rubric, they would be eligible for full funding. That would mean $24,000 for one of the 3 vehicles, since they have a total request of $72,000. As far as the rest of the applications, you'll see 2 other chunks, and that is for 4 full funding recommendations and 7 partial funding recommendations. These were based on scores and then conversations with those entities on what partial funding they would be able to accept and still have a successful project that they could purchase and go forward using. We did go through each project in all of your briefings individually, but would like to offer up that our office recommends full funding for 4 applications, partial funding for 7 applications, noting that then there is $125,104 remaining to be used for the newest eligible application or as the board sees fit. I think there are also project proponents in the audience today that may want to speak to any of their individual projects as the board would like to hear about them.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, just want to applaud staff for this table. I think this year has been really helpful to have this and be able to look at all of the data on ridership and mileage and such. So thank you for the work that you put into that. It's also my understanding, so back to the Fremont County request, that so the 24 would be for 1 vehicle, but in conversation with them, similar question to the partial funding of what would it take to make this project successful, that might be 48,000. Does that sound familiar to staff?
Just to say, let me check, Ms. Doring, please.
Chairman, Madam Superintendent, when we asked for partial funding, they came back, as they originally requested 3 vehicles at 72,000. They said if it was reduced, they could take 48,000 for 2 vehicles. So we came to the 24,000 for each vehicle.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Treasurer.
If indeed there was funding for 24,000, would the other funds that are those 100% funding on that vehicle, or is it a portion of a vehicle?
Chairman Treasurer, so they originally came in when they asked for 3 vehicles and requested 72,000. That was a 15% ask for the slib board. So they are bringing at that ratio 75% to that ask.
So like what I'm getting at is that if we do fund the 48,000 for 2 vehicles, then what I think I understood is that there's other places where the matches are already available to allow them to essentially buy 2 vehicles, but the total cost of the vehicle is much larger than 24,000.
Yeah, and I think following up on the treasurer, if I understand correctly, there are other awards that were arrived at with a larger proportion of the vehicle being funded. Is that correct?
Chairman, in their application, that's correct. They had requested 72,000 for those 3 vehicles. And then their match is YDOT's FTA funding coming in at 85% for that match for those 3 vehicles.
I see. Okay, thank you. Madam Auditor.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and sort of repeating what both of you had said, I too really appreciate this rubric, and particular the ridership. I think it helps us make better decisions, but again, would point out, yes, they're requesting, for example, Fremont County is requesting 3 vehicles, but such a very fractional percentage, which is different than one vehicle at 100%, you know, it's ending up a lot less, even though it's 12 wheels instead of, well, maybe there's more than 12 wheels. Instead of 4. Thank you.
Very good. So what is the, I guess, this I'll throw open. It feels to me that there is maybe a full funding list that we can deal with fairly expeditiously. And then we can kind of cover the others. That would be my estimation. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, just intuitively here on this graph, I'm just trying to put the Riverton request, the Fremont County request in context and get it on an equal playing field. It just intuitively, and maybe you could give me the percentages. Oh, here it is on this graph, the shares. I mean, the Slib share on the Fremont request is the lowest because it's only 15% compared to the others, correct? That's the way I'm reading this. And that's why it's, that's one justification for granting the 3 vehicles as opposed to one is the share is just extremely low on that one of the Slib involvement or the 2.
Do you want to address that?
Chairman, Secretary, so the original SLIB portion and other funding portions on your table in your book is based on their original amounts. So once we created the partial funding list, we're still displaying that percentage of the original application. So on those partial fundings, which were based on the recommendations that those entities told us they could take, as the director said, to make those projects still successful, that did reduce some of those percentages. So particularly looking at like Rendezvous Point, who originally had 100% ask. With their reduction for what we're recommending at 52,005, that reduces that SLIB portion asked to 30%. So there is some adjustments now based on what we're recommending in that partial funding table.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I have a follow-up.
Sure, Mr. Secretary.
And I'm just looking at this one graph here and it says youth emergency services, 84%, Pioneer Home, 75%, the Hot Springs request, 80%, Bighorn, 80%, Sublet, 95, Veterans Home, 75. And that's only a selection of 8. I'm not finding the others. I mean, is there any other, you cited this one that was 30%, I guess, is what the SLIB, is there any below that? Is that the closest other than the Fremont County one?
Chairman, Secretary, with the change in funding recommendations, number 5, Senior Citizens Council doing business as Goose Creek Transit, with their allowable partial funding that we recommended at 32,000, that reduces their SLIB ask to 20% as well. And then the rest, the next lowest was 30% that I mentioned for Rendezvous Point, and then they're 50% or higher based on partial funding.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that your idea to kind of work through, I guess, just in order here through full funding first, that makes sense to me, and then seeing if folks are here. But I would agree with that approach.
Okay. Trying to make sure we have the opportunity to kind of review this thoughtfully. I guess at this point, we have 4 recommended for full funding. Sweetwater County Transit Authority, the Gotchi Foundation, Campbell County Senior Citizens, and Sublet County Hospital District. Do we want to hear from, if I'm following your suggestion, if anyone is here for those, maybe we can hear from.
I have a question for staff, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, Mr. Treasurer.
Of the ones that are full funding, the did the Department of Transportation, were those funds not, I guess, available to them, or any other funding source not available to those different projects? Bus purchases?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Treasurer, I think what you'll see in all of those applications is that each of them may have portions of other awards from other places. So when you jump into the first application, you'll see that they have a YDOT funding request for $28,900 in addition to the 136 recommended from the Slib board, as well as local funding at 5,100. So we're just looking at the portion, full funding from the portion that they're asking for of the Slib board.
I guess sometimes, Mr. Chairman, it'd be nice to kind of have the metrics that YDOT uses and overlay them with these and see if there's any gaps or holes that we need to consider. But and the other thing that I always look at, which kind of frustrates me, is that there's no means testing at all to any of these, and that's frustrating, because if we're gonna, I think right-sized government, we have to really look at the ability for state government not to subsidize everybody to the fullest extent.
Do we have somebody from YDOT here? I think we do. And Mr. Treasurer, I guess I'm just sort of honoring your request.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name's Brandy Miller. I'm the local government supervisor. I am very new to my position. I've been there about 3 weeks. To speak for the funding, there's been some uncertainty in the past. We've worked with the Slib board or with state lands, and we are trying to get things lined up on our end. So myself and Linnea are actively working on getting it, I guess, better structured for better guidance for state lands in the future. But what we have available is, providing that they fall within our within our program, we can fund up to 85% for ADA vehicles and up to 50% on non-ADA vehicles if they're within our program. So some of it was a misunderstanding or miscommunication between our office and our subrecipients. So they may have asked for more. But if there were going to be any modifications upon the requests, we can go up to 85% on ADA.
Okay, I appreciate that. And if I remember correctly, there were a couple of other sort of measures that you used. One of them would be whether it's a four-wheel drive or not.
Correct.
I know in the past, that's been a little frustrating because sometimes these are very rural roads, but as I remember, that was one. I think there was also age of vehicle.
Yes. So we do use
service history and things like that.
Yeah, we do monitor that on our side for our program before we will award those. And on these lists, we do have notes in there that they have been verified, that they're verified replacements. They qualify either due to time, mileage, things like that. So they do qualify for replacements, and we know what they're going to replace.
Can I ask you, it strikes me GMC in their current Suburban models has this 6.2 motor that's been, or engine, sorry, not motor, that's for electric engine, that has shown that it has some challenges with it. And I think we had a Ford ambulance that we talked about that was sort of a mid-2000s version 2. Both of them have sort of model years that had big problems and aspects. Is that also taken into account?
It is.
Okay.
If the subrecipients can prove that based on their servicing, their mechanics, their things like that.
I see.
If it was an issue, there are considerations that if it falls outside of our TAM plan does allow that if it falls outside of the traditional years or mileage, if it's due to something like that, we can make an exception.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Further questions, sir?
No, I think I'll probably get it, I don't think it's a time to actually, go through the details, but, when you get your arms around all this stuff, give me a call, come over and see what it looks like and see if we can't, I guess get both these programs working, together and I think they do a good job now, but it'd be, great for me to understand exactly, some of the things. And I doubt if you have any means testing or anything like that. It's just anybody that walks in the door, if they meet the qualifications, then to the extent you have funds, you cut them a check.
Yeah, we do monitor that. Linnea and I are working on that, and we are committed to having it better set for next year. We did work very closely with Shelley Hood this year, and I'm going to continue to work with her to ensure that they fully understand. There was mass confusion right towards the end, but we went ahead and made an addendum to our SMP to ensure that we could figure out the match on our side, just because there was confusion, and with my 3 weeks, it hasn't had a lot of time. So
Okay, all right. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Mueller.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks. So I go back, if there's anybody here from those 4 entities, if they want to address. Looks like, please come on up. And I would mention they probably are on a pretty good track. So
Hi there, I'm Lindsay Bond, Chief Operating Officer for Sublette County Hospital District. This is my first time, so please go easy.
oh, we love having you here. Thank you for making the trip.
Thank you. So, we have just gotten word that we will receive full funding possibility, and I can speak to any other options if that would start. Do I need to go into?
And I just thought if you wanted to give an overview, unless the less you say, probably the more likely that
All right.
you'll be able to
Take questions now.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, maybe
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
how the vehicle is used.
So this would be replacing a 2004 Tahoe. It is for our Heritage Home, which is our long-term care facility, has memory care attached. We just opened up our hospital August 4th. We're still pursuing CAW designation, critical access hospital designation. The Heritage Home replaced Sublette Center, we merged with them January 2024, and they've been around for 20 years. This would affect the Heritage Home side, and it would be a patient transport vehicle to regional Idaho Falls for Ermac, Salt Lake City, and then around the region up to Jackson and down to Rock Springs.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Yeah, is it ADA compliant, this one?
This one is not necessarily ADA compliant, but we were just going to go for another Tahoe. So it wasn't going to be specific to wheelchairs or anything like that, just because of the price point too.
I guess the reason I asked that, we've got 2 small SUVs, one's 29,000 and one's 66,000. So I was trying to figure out what the difference was between those. And so this is just a 6-passenger Tahoe or something like that.
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I have one thought. We had a Tahoe for years, and there was a seat that you could put in the passenger side that we got from my dad. And I don't know if we tried to donate it to the state after he passed, but it allows it to move around and lower. So if you have a wheelchair, you can easily put somebody in that seat.
Right.
Just a thought.
We were lucky enough to get a wheelchair accessible van
Okay,
last year, and so that really accommodates that need. But we would definitely look at that if we were able to accommodate that.
fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
Good morning. I'm Ann Rossi, the Executive Director of the Campbell County Senior Center, and I'd like to thank you for this opportunity that allows us to apply for the Transportation Enterprise Grants. Transportation is a vital service which promotes mobility throughout our community. We continue to see an increase in the services that we provide, and the vehicle capacity allows us to coordinate rides. So getting more passengers on the bus is what it's all about, resulting in a more efficient service. This vehicle that we are applied for will have a wheelchair capacity and plus an additional 9 passengers. This vehicle will give us flexibility and room, and this vehicle runs $155,000. So we've seen a huge increase in the cost of vehicles, especially any conversion type vehicles. This vehicle replaces a donated minivan that we had. It was a wonderful gift, and we will continue to use this vehicle for other services that we provide at the senior center. But without the ability to transport scooters and wheelchairs, the vehicle did not give us the ability to coordinate our rides. The more rides we can combine on one bus, the more efficient the service is. So with that, more passengers we can accommodate with a larger vehicle. So any questions you have for me coming from Campbell County? We did receive a YDOT grant for partial payment of that, along with our foundation board is putting some money in as well. And so it's not really 100% funded through you.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. And
You're
thanks for
welcome.
making the trip. Any questions?
Just a comment, you got a lot of ridership, and I would think the age of that van, the seats probably wore out before anything else.
You would be correct.
Thank you, Ms. Rossi.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. I see Carissa Nichols has her hand raised.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Well, I just want to thank you for allowing us to speak today. I am the Chief Operating Officer at Gotchi, and in case any of you don't know, we are a nonprofit that provides physical, occupational therapy, and wellness programs around the state in Thermopolis, Worland Basin, Powell, Cody, Shoshone, Ten Sleep, and Matiti. Our mission is to make impossible experiences possible through Rooted, which is resilient, open, outcome-focused, tailored, educated, and distinctive care that is accessible to all regardless of their ability to pay. We don't turn anybody away. We help anybody that is in need. So it's a really great facility, and patients really gain a lot from it. We have been providing transportation in our Thermopolis location for years, many, many years, and it has been a huge success. Patients really use it. It's utilized a lot. A lot of patients can't get in to their therapy appointments unless they can get a ride, especially if it's right after, a surgery, something like that, when they're not able to drive. So we are excited to try to launch this in our Basin area. We have a clinic in Basin, and we have been providing transportation up there just on our own. We have an ADA van up there right now. That's an older van that we've had for many years. It's just been transferred up to that location. The need is there. The vehicle is not always there. So that's been an issue. We do a lot of contracts in that area. And so our vehicles are on the road all the time to, Three Rivers Health, to home health visits, to the schools. And so that is one of the reasons we're really looking for another vehicle in this area, is to be able to really launch the program and offer it at, in full force.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Is there any question for? Thank you very much. Really appreciate you addressing us, and thanks to the Gotchi. They do an amazing job in the Basin. So really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else? If not, I'm going to ask what the pleasure of the board would be on these matters.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move director's recommended amount for applications 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
Second.
There's been a second from the good auditor. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? That motion carries. Madam Director, I think we move on to the next group, and I don't know how the board anticipates moving through these, but it may make sense to have some conversation.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I might recommend that we kind of just work through these one by one, just because they're not, full funding amounts. And if there are folks here to speak to the adjusted amount, I think that would be beneficial, and just work through each of them.
That sounds fine to me. Would you also include Fremont County in that list, perhaps?
I would just add them below Wyoming Pioneer Home.
Okay. Without objection, that's the way we'll do it. Very good. Madam Dorr. Do you want to make an introduction of each of these?
Absolutely, Chairman. So the first one on the partial funding recommendation is the Senior Citizens Council doing business as Goose Creek Transit. They're requesting one small bus, 10 to 22 passengers, to replace their current vehicle. We're recommending $32,000 for this request, and this was in conjunction and working with that entity. That was the amount that they told us that they could ask, or they could take and make this project functional. So that does reduce at that recommended amount, as I mentioned earlier, the SLIB portion to 20%, and then they would bring 80% for that request.
Very good. Any questions of staff? If not, be glad to hear of anybody for the Senior Citizens Council, Goose Creek Transit, if they're, and I think we have Mr. French on. Does that?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. This is David French with Senior Citizens Council, doing business as Goose Creek Transit, also known as the Hub on Smith. Wanted to, first of all, thank you for this opportunity for us to have. We do run significant amounts of personnel through our buses and would greatly appreciate this opportunity. As of right now, this year alone, we've hit 4 new world records for folks coming on board with us. And while funding is a challenge in many parts, this is a very unique opportunity where we can replace our buses. The ones that are running out right now are pushing over 200,000 miles on them. As our treasurer had mentioned, the seats are very much worn down. So again, thank you for this opportunity, and we greatly look forward to your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. French, just a couple of questions for me. Do you also handle Dayton, Ranchester, Wyarno, Wyola, even Story perhaps, or Banner anyway?
Mr. Chairman, we handle some demand response rides to Dayton, Ranchester, Story, and as far as up to Powell and sometimes Cody on a very limited basis through our demand response system. But we do not have any fixed routes or consistent stops through either Bighorn, Story, Buffalo, Ranchester, or Dayton. Our fixed route service is strictly in our Sheridan city.
Okay, thank you. All right. Madam Superintendent, did you anticipate going through these one by one with an action, or did you think maybe talk them all through and then review, or do you think we have enough information to proceed?
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to proceed. I think we have the numbers and all of that in front of us, and so
I think that's sufficient. So okay. Very good.
So, Mr. Chairman, with that, if I might, would move the recommended amount of the $32,000 for Senior Citizens Council doing business as Goose Creek Transit.
It's been moved by the superintendent, seconded by the auditor. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Treasurer.
I note in the rankings there that this is like the number 2 ranking. Number 2 and 3. They got number 2 and 3. And they're getting 32,000, yet on some of the ones that we've had total funding, they were ranked into the teens, you know. So I'm curious what the rankings actually mean if we're doing 100% funding on the rankings that are in the teens and a small amount of funding on something that's ranked 2 or 3.
Mr. Chairman, the difference is, and as was alluded to in some of our earlier conversations, those rankings that you're seeing are only YDOT rankings based on their metrics for how they would rank the projects, not in accordance with the metrics developed with the rules for the TEA program. So you will see a disconnect.
YDOT rankings over there on that side.
Yep, those pages are just YDOT rankings, not overall between our office and YDOT together.
All right. Looks like they're pretty much capped at 20% on most of this stuff, while there's one at 25% that they actually put in. So, okay.
Mr. Chairman.
And Madam
Just a
Superintendent.
clarifying question for staff as well, noticing that this entity requested 2 vehicles. The reason for one not being funded is simply because we're trying to request 1 vehicle for each entity and still have some emergency funding remaining. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Question, I guess, Mr. Chairman, is whether or not with this reduction in funding, whether or not they're still going to be able to find funds to buy a bus.
Mr. French, you can address that, right? It's my understanding that you can get funding from elsewhere to make up the diff.
Mr. Chairman, Treasurer, we are able to raise through our local match and other sources, but primarily Slib has been our go-to for funding these vehicles specifically. We are dealing with a bit of a challenge. The Hub on Smith, as you may or may not know, has been around for over 50 years in Sheridan, and its reach is pretty far and wide as a nonprofit. And we have reached out to the city and the county and have had very little support in that way. And so while our local match will come through private sectors, it is extremely limited. And so I'm not 100% certain on how we will raise the match for 2 vehicles, if that answers your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Mr. Treasurer. Thank you, Mr. French.
Thank you.
Further discussion? If there is none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Nays? Congratulations, that motion carries.
Mr.
Next,
Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Just one more clarifying question, but before we move forward, just to reiterate, so these recommended amounts, and would just ask that any of our applicants that can speak to this, these amounts were come to as a sort of agreement between staff and the entity that this is how they could make it work. And if that's the case, I really appreciate that. Bringing that to us before we have to work through it is helpful, but just want to, as we start to move through, these amounts were confirmed with the applicant that they could make the project work with these lessened amounts.
Mr. Chairman, Madam Superintendent, yes, that's correct. We've got all their emails with us today that confirm those numbers.
Thank you. All right, Rendezvous Point.
Members of the board, the next application is Rendezvous Point. They're requesting 1 van, 12 to 15 passenger. This is an additional vehicle to add service to their entity. And they are originally requested 175,000. In cooperation with them, they told us that 52,500 would work for them. And as I mentioned, that takes that Slib board ask from 100% down to a 30% of the portion of their total project.
Thank you. Is anyone here able to address Rendezvous Point? And ask one more time. Anybody here? I did have a question to sort of understand how they coordinated with Sublette County Hospital District. But without anybody here to talk about that, that's okay. Members of the board, what would you like to see?
Mr. Chairman, I might say that without Rendezvous Point speaking, I'd rather move to the next one, and then we can come back to that motion at the end. Oh,
Okay.
maybe we've got a hand raised.
Yes, this is Tina. I'm the director at Rendezvous Point. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, recognize you. Yes, thank you very much.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Council. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our case here. I'm the director at Rendezvous Point. I have Hannah Bennett here. She's our transportation director, and we have submitted an application for a 12 to 15 passenger ADA accessible van. Our current van that we have is an 8 to 10 passenger express van, which is not ADA accessible. In Pinedale here, we service Sublette County. We're one of the largest transportation providers in Sublette County as a senior center. And it's a necessity that we do have something that is ADA accessible.
And so do you coordinate then with the Sublette County Hospital District at all?
This is Hannah Bennett. I'm the transportation coordinator over at Rendezvous Point, and we have worked with the Sublette Center a couple of times, the hospital district, and because most of their clients are nursing home patients that require nursing care, we don't typically transport their clients just because we don't have the medical training to take care of their clients unless they have extra nursing staff that can accompany. So that's why the hospital is asking for accessible transport so that they can fully take care of their clients and not have to depend on Rendezvous Point for transport, for non-medical transport for their clients.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions? All right. Pleasure of the board. The director's recommendation has been moved by the secretary. Is there support for that motion? It's been seconded by the auditor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Nays? The motion carries. Congratulations. Thanks. Next, I guess we have the Veterans Home.
Next on the list is the Veterans Home of Wyoming. They're requesting an additional one passenger van, 15 to 12 passengers. They originally came in requesting $90,000 and work with them. They said that they could take $60,000 to make this project work. I will note this project, this ask isn't eligible for YDOT FTA funding.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here from the Veterans Home or online would like to speak to this project? Yes. Oh, Mr. Meredith.
Thank you and good morning to the board. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for having us this morning. Exciting times for the Veterans Home of Wyoming. we're requesting an additional van for our fleet for our skilled nursing facility that we recently gained licensure to.
Thanks. So that was going to be my question. Are you integrated with that? And my assumption is, are you taking care of any other veterans that might be in Buffalo that are not necessarily associated with either the home or the skilled nursing facility?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Chairman. At times, that does happen here in the community. However, most of the time with our census, our vehicles are utilized for our residents here.
Okay. Thanks. Any questions? All right.
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved by the treasurer. Is there a second? It's been seconded by the auditor. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Nays? The motion carries. Congratulations. South Bighorn Senior Citizens Incorporated.
Members of the board, the next on the list is the South Bighorn Senior Citizens Center. They are requesting one minivan to replace a vehicle. Their original requested amount was $69,564, but they did tell us that they could take $61,091. And so that is the director's recommendation. And that took their request down to a 70% ask of the board.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you. Question for staff. I'm pretty concerned about the really sharp decline in ridership on this one. Can you speak to if that was included in contemplation from staff?
Members of the board, we did look into that, and we did, in their application, they noted that they had changed how they are recording their ridership. And so they had removed, there was in their ridership was delivery meals. And so we took that into consideration when we were ranking them, not penalizing them for that. So they had explained that difference in their ridership numbers in the last year in their application.
Thank you. I'll note that Cynthia Johnson is online. Ms. Johnson?
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We, as in our application, we that was one of the changes when YDOT changed the whatever rubrics about whether we could count home delivered meals into our transportation, into our ridership. We were counting all years and years ago. I've been at the center for 26 years. So, and then we went to half, and then they eliminated those altogether. So that is the change in our ridership.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. So would you say that your actual ridership in that sense is pretty consistent, growing, knowing that we have to equalize that reduction due to the meals?
It is very consistent. It's cyclic in the fact that when fuel prices go up, our ridership goes up. Our most of our ridership is seniors, and and we cover all of southern Bighorn County, which is a big area. So we're transporting people, 50 miles sometimes to a doctor's appointment. So our ridership stays pretty much the same.
Okay, thank you. That was my question was, who all do you service? So I'm guessing it's Shell, Basin, Otto, Burlington, all Emblem, whatever, in addition to Grable.
Yes, all those small communities are included on. Manderson is probably Hyattville is one of our furthest. So we have a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, you do. Okay. Very good.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move director's recommendation of $61,091.
Is there support for the motion? It's been seconded by the secretary. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Motion carries. Congratulations. Southwest Sublet County Pioneers.
Members of the board, Southwest Sublette County Pioneers is the next application. They're requesting a one small bus, 10 to 22 passengers. This is a replacement vehicle. They had originally requested $76,000 from our office, but told us that they could take 50,000, which reduced their percentage asked for the Slib board to 53%.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? Is there anyone either here or online from Southwest Sublet County Pioneers?
Mr. Chairman, Terry James.
Terry, James, we will recognize you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Board. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Oh, perfect. Great. Thank you for your consideration today. So I'm the director here at the Southwest Sublette County Pioneer Senior Citizens Center. We are the only public transportation in our area servicing the LaBarge area, the Daniel area when needed. Primarily, we take seniors to socialization trips, doctor's appointments, all around within about 100-mile radius. I get calls from the clinic here to help transport seniors back to their homes or on to the hospital, whether it be Jackson or Rock Springs or wherever we need to take them. We're an on-demand or a demand response transportation company. That's how we service our seniors and our veterans. We do take a lot of veterans into the Salt Lake City area for appointments. And we just, we're just pretty busy. We've had increase. We're the same. We used to, we deliver meals daily to the senior citizens, but so we don't count that anymore, much like the previous Senior Citizen Center that spoke. So that's kind of us in a nutshell.
Thank you, Ms. James.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that. A quick question with Sublette County Pioneers and then Rendezvous Point. Are you guys handling, I guess, like Big Piney South and then they've got north and including Pinedale, or how do you guys split that region?
So Rendezvous Point is north Pinedale area and Big Piney Marbleton is south. And we also service LaBarge, which is about 20 miles south of Big Piney, but on into Lincoln County. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Mr.
Madam.
Mr. Chairman, and I apologize if I missed this, but the mileage on this vehicle is really low. So could you just talk to me about, are you upgrading or is there some justification other than the mileage?
My name's Heather Griffin. I'm the bookkeeper here. With our low mileage, we're wanting to upgrade to a newer vehicle with better, the backup camera with our drivers. We want it to be safer. Right now, the seniors, they can't get on the bus very much. Like the steps are hard for them. And Carrie had actually went to one of the conferences and got on a newer bus, and we would just like to have it be more convenient and accessible so we can get more seniors out and about.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? Appreciate you being online. What's the pleasure of the board?
Director's rec.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Secretary moves the director's recommendation. Is there support for that motion? It's been seconded by the treasurer. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I I do agree with the auditor's question on the low mileage and just kind of wanting to upgrade and have a newer vehicle that's a little more accessible. I think I'll still be a yes on this, but anyway, just did want to comment on that. Thank you.
No, I appreciate that. And my question really was going to be for veterans being transported. That's an issue in some of our smaller counties, is being able to get our veterans to VAs, which are sometimes at some distance. And I really appreciate that volunteered answer. So,
Yeah. Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Treasurer.
on the mileage one there, and there's several of them that have, well under 100,000. And I would, I guess, hope that the folks that are getting rid of these relatively low mileage vehicles reach out to some of the people that weren't funded, or perhaps maybe get on an email list or something like that, so they can let people know that they're available. I know anything that's state, it's going to go to a state auction, but yeah, there's some of these that it's hard to understand why they're being moved. I mean, I got 245,000 on my car, and I think I'm going to make it to $500,000.
Very good. Thank you. All right. I'm going to call for the question. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? The motion carries. Congratulations. Next is the Yes House.
The Youth Emergency Services is requesting one 12 to 15 passenger van. This is an additional van to their fleet, and they had originally came in requesting 60,000, and they told us that they could take the $55,000, which reduced the slib board portion asked to 77%.
Thanks. Please. Good to have you. Thanks for coming down.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you for having me. I'm Ryan Anderson, the Executive Director with the Yes House. Appreciate the consideration for this vehicle. As some of you are probably aware, we work with at-risk youth in Campbell County, Northeast Wyoming. We would be using this vehicle to transport those youth to appointments throughout the community and then to activities in and around the state. This would be our first all-wheel drive vehicle. So, as it had been mentioned before, some of the places that, we go, especially with some of the things like our hike club and things like that, not always the easiest place to get to in a regular van. And so this vehicle would certainly help with that. And so we appreciate your all's consideration, and thank you for your time.
Thanks. Questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Madam Auditor, then I have the Secretary. Yes?
how's your parking lot?
It's wonderful. Thank you very much.
It's good
We
to
appreciate
see
it.
you here for
Yeah.
something other than a parking lot.
Yes, I
It's done.
yes, it is.
Great.
It's all done. It's wonderful. We can finally start salting it this year because, last year, no salt on the new concrete, but yeah. Thank you guys.
Mr. Secretary.
I actually had the same question.
Yeah, I'm the parking lot guy, so yeah.
Very good. All right. Any other questions? If there are none, again, thank you very much for coming down here.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask for your vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Do we make a motion?
I-
I would make the motion.
Oh, you made the motion. Okay.
I haven't made a motion. Nobody's made a
Second.
motion.
It's
Second,
been
okay.
moved. It's been seconded. I thought we had it. Did we not? Or, okay, sorry, I was getting ahead of myself. So made by the auditor, seconded by the superintendent. Thank you very much. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nays? Motion carries. All right. Pioneer Home.
Next on the list is the Wyoming Pioneer Home. They're requesting a bus that will be 1 to 2 stations wheelchair accessible. This is a replacement vehicle. They had originally asked for $81,608.50. In our communications with them, they told us that they could take $54,405, which changed their request to a 50-50 match with the slid board. And I will also note this is not eligible for FTA funding, which I forgot to mention on the Yes Houses.
Very, very good. Thank you. I think Julie Hoffman is on. Ms. Hoffman, floor is
My
yours.
apologies, I was muted. This is
No
Julie
worries.
Hoffman. I'm the administrator at the Wyoming Pioneer Home. I want to thank you for your consideration today. We are looking to replace our current bus as it is not ADA compliant and actually is a more built for children.
Okay. One quick question for me. I think I know what the simple answer is, but do you coordinate with Gotchi to some degree?
No,
Okay.
we do work with them. They do transport some of our community members here, but no, we do not coordinate with them.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Madam
Mr. Chairman.
Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you partially answered it, but just wondering if you could speak a little bit more because the mileage is exceptionally low. And so just wondering if kind of, was this acquired and then realized that it's not quite big enough and is suited for children rather than adults? Can you just speak to that a little bit more just to help justify the mileage?
Certainly. The van was purchased trying to fulfill a need. And it has worked sort of for us, but because we've got people in wheelchairs, it's really limiting activities that everybody can attend. It is difficult for my community members to get down the aisle. And with walkers and wheelchairs, almost impossible to some.
Okay. Thank you. Further questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move the director's rec.
It's been moved by the auditor and seconded by the treasurer. Is there discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Auditor.
I fully agree. I think the one thing that, I fully agree with the superintendent's concerns about the mileage. The one thing I think that pushes me into the yes territory is that this vehicle is 15 years old. They've had this for a long time. And so it's clear it's been a long, and just I think the low mileage is almost a testament to that they're struggling to utilize this vehicle. It's not an asset that's really helping the population, the intended population. So I hope they sell it and use that to meet the shortfall.
Well, very good.
Maybe a daycare.
For further comments? If there are none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? That motion carries. Now we move on to Fremont County.
Fremont County Association of Governments was requesting to replace 3 small buses, 10 to 22 passengers. Their original ask, as mentioned earlier, was $72,000 for all 3 of those. In communications with them, they said that they could take $48,000 for 2, which equates to $24,000 each. That maintains the same leverage of 15% Slib board and 85% other funding.
Very good. Questions? We've had a little bit of testimony on this, so I'll just move straight to questions if there are any beyond this. It's been moved for 48,000 by the secretary and seconded by the superintendent. And just as a point of discussion, I think if we don't do anything on the 2 recommended for non-funding, that'll move our balance to 80,000 or something like that. Is that correct? For emergencies?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
We
Madam.
did hear from Mr. Nichols pretty extensively about the application and the 3-day whoops. But I'm wondering if we could maybe hear from him a little bit more, particularly about the condition of these vehicles, and the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Please, Mr. Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I never miss an opportunity to talk about public transportation, so ask me any of the questions you want. That said, 2 years ago, when I stepped on at WRTA, the fleet had a cumulative total of over 4.3 million miles. Now, we were successfully able to replace 4 of the larger vehicles, lowering that to about 3.2. These 2 specifically that would be prioritized to be replaced have over 300,000 miles each. They have been quite the hindrance on our maintenance budget. And so we are very eager to get these replaced and see that annual maintenance lowered significantly, as we saw with the replacement of those 4 larger vehicles last year.
And Mr. Chairman, how many vehicles do you have in operation total?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Currently, we have 22 vehicles. This would replace 3 of them, and then those 3 would be disposed of shortly after.
So just a point of information on my part. The 48,000, I think, would recognize 2 vehicles, not 3 necessarily.
Yes,
Is that
Mr.
right?
Chairman. Yeah, that would be 2 vehicles and sources of other funding. I never miss an opportunity to approach city councils and county commission in Fremont County begging for money. So I will certainly pursue that course of action for the remaining 24. And if it takes, I will grab my coffee can and go to the corner and start begging if I need to. But we will come up with that other 24,000 to ensure the replacement of all 3.
Okay. Mr. Treasurer.
If you know of those 22 vehicles, how many of them are going to be up to 200,000 or more next year?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Off the top of my head, there will be a couple coming up. There are well over 200,000. Like I said, the fleet was severely aged. Between the procurement last year and this procurement, the majority of the hindrance to our fleet and the delays in service will be resolved. So we begin after those 2 larger procurements, strategically procuring 1 each fiscal year to make sure our rolling stock is maintained appropriately.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that would be my concern, is that you don't end up with this lumpy replacement. Question I have for Jennifer Mazur, that leaves us, what, 77,104 or something like that for emergency. What's our experience been? I have to confess, I don't really recall a time that we've had a TEA emergency, but maybe there's one. We've had one? Okay.
Chairman, members of the board, I was going back and looking. My understanding is that you've had maybe 2 in 10 to 12 years. I made it through back to looking into 2022 and hadn't come across one. This would leave 77,104 for emergencies. Just to reflect on what has been done in the past, in the end of the 23 biennium, you had left a remaining 133,992. And in 2021, there was a remainder left of over $770,000 at that time. But the number of requests were substantially lower. And so at that point you were funding 80%. So I don't feel like that's an accurate comparison of what should be left.
And so if there's a remainder left over at the end of the biennium, that's just reinvested, I think, Mr. Treasurer, is that correct? And I think we've put it in pool A, so it can be.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Very good. All right. Further discussion,
Mr. Chairman.
Madam.
I mean, I could have gone for the 3 at this low, at the lower great. But I think 2 is acceptable given maybe their uncertainty and allows them some time to get squared away to make sure they don't have to drastically reduce services. I would note, and I don't think I'm impaired to vote on this, but up until this spring, my father drove one of these buses for the last 5 or 6 years. So I have been hearing about the condition of these buses for quite some time, and I can assert that they are on their last legs. So I
Okay.
will support the request.
Very good. All right, further discussion? If
I would
there-
have went for 3 too.
All right, with that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? That motion carries.
Mr. Chairman.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just, once more, just wanted to thank the applicants. I feel like it made it a lot more seamless for us as a board to come in knowing what those amounts that you could make work and could look at other funding. I just really appreciate the willingness. We always have more requests than we do money. And so being able to work with staff to determine, this is the gold amount that we would like, but this is what we're able to live with and make work. So I just appreciate that.
Very good. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, we're just double checking on whether or not you need votes for non-funding applications, or if you can just bypass those if you elect not to fund.
I think traditionally we voted for them, voted them down, but
Mr. Chairman, you don't have to, but it would be nice to dispose of them by way of
that's
motion.
exactly my thought.
Mr. Chairman,
Madam,
I would move that we accept director's recommendation on the no funding recommendations. That's items 12 and 13.
Second.
it's been moved, it's been seconded. I think the treasurer was slightly before you, Superintendent. That's rare, but in any event, all in favor signify by saying aye. Nays? Thank you, Mr. Secretary. That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next on your agenda is matter I-4. This is the consideration of one application for a capital construction loan. This is for the town of Pine Bluffs. As the board may recall, they have been working extensively to obtain funding for their commercial zone and industrial park that they are putting in. They do have a drinking water loan as well as an MRG award. They come to the board today seeking funding for the water, sewer, stormwater, and electrical work portion of the completion of their commercial zone and industrial park. And the recommendation for our office would be to grant the $1,488,160 loan for a term of 25 years. And I do believe there's representatives from Pine Bluffs to visit with the board.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. Good to see you.
Great to see you all again, too. Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you all may recall, we are trying to wrap up our, I'm sorry, my name is Kim Patterson with the town of Pine Bluffs, and with me I have Chris Lidstone, who is also with the town of Pine Bluffs as our town engineer. As you know, as you may remember, we are wrapping up our Prairie View development project. And the final phase of this is completing our commercial zone and our industrial park. We are seeking $1,488,000 to complete the infrastructure portion of this, and that will be added to our increase of our drinking water SRF loan for the water portion and our mineral royalty grant of $950,000.
Very good, Ms. Patterson. Mr. Lidstrom, anything you want to add, or?
No, I think you may have seen from our application is one of the critical aspects of our industrial park is source water protection plan. And we've had an issue where we had one of our local companies, Helena Fertilizer, who wanted to move in next to one of our water wells. We actually told them we were going to try to get this industrial park in place. And that's really what accelerated our move in this direction. So was to try to get Helena in place. So we need to do that. We need to get the final infrastructure together, which includes this application.
So the threat to your water supply is minimized.
Right, exactly. This is a down gradient location, is why we cited the industrial park for where we did. And those of you know Pine Bluffs, the Brule Aquifer is the principal aquifer for the town. It's a shallow aquifer and it's highly susceptible to surface contamination.
Very good. Further question? Any questions? Hearing none. What's the pleasure of the board?
Director Rex.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Is there support for the treasurer's motion?
Second.
It's been seconded by the auditor. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Nays? Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Safe trip back home. Long ways.
Thank you.
I think the wind will probably help your mileage, though.
Absolutely.
Well, today. So, thank you.
Thanks very much for being here.
Mr. Chairman, next on your agenda is tab K, State Investment Matters.
All right. Mr. Treasurer.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of committee, we have hiring, we request that we hire the private equity investment manager Dragoneer Opportunities for their fund number 7. We have, I guess, Mr. LeBlanc, our acting CIO, can give us some color on this.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Treasurer, thank you. My name is Norman LeBlanc, and I am the interim Chief Investment Officer for the State Treasurer's Office. I think we covered this pretty thoroughly in our last session, but just as a reminder, the Dragoneer Opportunities Fund 7 is a follow-on opportunity. We currently invest in Dragoneer Opportunities Fund 6, and we are building investment relationships, and we are continuing to invest with Dragoneer. Dragoneer is a venture capital / growth firm. They tend to invest in the larger end of that in the growth area. We went through some of their investments earlier today. We are requesting a $45 million investment. That's the treasurer's request. We have been told that we will get that amount, which is unique because a number of investors were being cut back in their allotment. That is due to the state of Wyoming, our reputation, and the investment team's reputation. So I'm happy to stand for any questions, but don't want to bore you with details that we've already covered.
Thanks. Are there questions? Norm, please, Mr. Secretary.
I've got a question for Mr. Bean, because this is his area, right? It's private equity kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Bean is here.
Mr. Bean, I wanted to ask you thank you, Mr. Bean, what your thoughts were. I know you presented the material terms, but just wanted to get your thoughts on this investment.
In regards to what exactly?
Your recommendation.
I have to go back to my process. My process is very simply that I get hundreds, if not thousands, of offers every year. And up till actually Monday, I didn't have an analyst. So I have to go through them very quickly. And so I look at everything from performance perspective. I look and I try to bring things here that are typically first quartile, maybe a few second quartile funds. And if you look on the sheet, there's a fourth quartile in there. So it flew out of my process probably in 5 minutes.
The question I would have, 45 million is what the placement's going to be. In terms of the overall portfolio, how significant is that? And I guess the question leads to, as a follow-on, you know, there have been some fairly large sovereign funds that have gotten so complicated with so many small investments that unwinding those has been complicated. But there's also a good case to be made for how this fits in an overall matrix. And so I just wanted to have you have a chance to look at that.
Mr. Chairman, that's a very good question, and I think the size of the investment depends very much in the sector, based on the sector in which you are investing. In the VC and growth sector, it is a higher risk, higher return sector. There is higher volatility. The dispersion of returns over time is very wide, and thus one tends to have smaller positions. 45 million is actually a pretty sizable position for the VC slash growth space. Now, the reason that that is acceptable is that this particular fund concentrates on the larger end of that space. So there are names that we mentioned this morning that you will absolutely know, so they're close to being public, and so a larger investment is appropriate. But one of the things that we are also looking at is, in fact, the labor and the time resources spent on these sorts of positions. And we are, in fact, looking at alternative ways of doing VC and growth that might be more fund of one related, et cetera, that would reduce that workload on legal, on fund accounting, as well as on our investment team in doing it and making sure that these positions are handled appropriately. Now, remember, we are taking up, we're going from a 4% to an 8% in this, so that is, in percentage terms toward our target, a fairly substantial move. And as you well know, in privates, one tries to make sure that you have vintage year diversification. So this is a pretty reasonable size ticket for the space and for our overall allocation.
Okay, because I was trying to remember what our pacing was on this, and it seemed to me this was a fairly aggressive move, if I remember, for the IPS. And not this one, but we were wanting to increase our exposure.
Right. So the pacing plan for private equity as a whole, sir, currently calls for 480 million, 480 per year. And 15% of that is the allocation for VC and growth. Now that we are looking at our pacing right now for going forward, and that may actually increase.
Okay, thank you. Anything you want to add?
The consultant recently came back and wanted to up that from 480 to approximately 650. 650.
650, yeah.
Always interesting when you have valuations as high as they are. So, okay, all right. Thank you. Mr. Treasurer.
You know, I think the reason why we moved on this after it fell out, I think of Byron's, was the full support of the IFC and looking at their I guess thoughts and their commitment on moving forward. And so we did go into a deeper due diligence, which and I think in the future that Byron's going to be able to have an analyst and actually get into some of these funds a little deeper and have do more in-house due diligence. And so I think we've done more due diligence on this particular fund than I think of any of ones that I can recall moving forward. So I feel comfortable with the recommendation. And we are kind of playing catch up in this particular area because we've kind of it's been pretty frothy of late, and so we kind of steered away from getting into this side of the private equity arena, and we feel that in the coming years with the change in climate, I think, and at the national level, that it's time to maybe re-engage to a certain extent. And so that's one of the reasons that we're moving forward at this time and looking at perhaps actually putting more money in these areas, but doing so, I think hopefully with more due diligence and more commitment in anything that we move forward with.
Very good. So do you want to make a motion, sir?
So, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that the board select the fund Dragoneer Opportunities Fund 7 as a state private equity investment manager conditioned upon the approval of material terms and successful contract negotiations.
It's been moved by the treasurer, seconded by the auditor. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. No? Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Treasurer.
This area deals with the approval of the material terms. And we have our lead attorney, Mr. Pilzer, and Byron, our private equities. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would turn it over to them to go through the steps that have gone on and where we're at on material terms.
Mr. Pilger.
Thank you, Bill Pilger, General Counsel, State Treasurer's Office. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we did go through the material terms during executive session earlier today. As I alluded to, we have been in substantial, contact and negotiations with Dragoneer's counsel and have worked through those terms, obviously subject to approval today. So with that, I would, stand for any questions.
Are there any questions? Very good. Mr. Treasurer.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if there are no questions, I'd ask for the call of the vote. I have nothing further
Yeah, I
to
think
add.
we need a motion.
Okay, yeah.
But you're moving the material terms.
Well, I'll let somebody else do that. That's fine. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I would move the treasurer's recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
I would second it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. With that, all in favor signify by saying aye. Nays?
I'm a no.
Very good. That motion carries. Thank you. Madam Director. Is there anything else to come before us?
Mr. Chairman, that completes your agenda.
All right. I'd open it for any comments. If there are none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Been moved by the auditor and seconded. All in